Medetweka listeners, and thanks for tuning in to Namatekwita, the Comanche Talk podcast. I'm your host, Ray Taisakai. Today, we're joined by both Comanche Nation's Fire and Grasshoppers programs, where we're going to get insight on fire season, fire prevention, and the vital role that the Grasshoppers play in the warmer months to come. Today, we're talking about something that truly impacts every single one of us, emergency response and fire safety. And with fire safety in Oklahoma right now, it felt like the right time to sit down with our fire and EMS team to talk about what they do, how they prepare, and what our community should be aware of. So thanks for joining us today. If everyone could kind of introduce themselves.
Thank you, Sheree, for allowing us to be here today. My name is Kyle Top. I'm the fire chief for the Comanche Nation Fire Department.
My name is David Stokes. I'm the fire captain at Comanche Nation Fire Department.
My name is Jermaine Chestnut. I'm just a firefighter.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for a lot of work that y'all do in these high-pressure moments for us. So we really kind of just wanted to slow down today and give people a better understanding of what goes on behind the scenes. But to start off simple, can you explain what fire and EMS department covers and basically your overall mission?
We cover a wide range of area due to the land that extends from towards the Apache all the way down to Red River. Before, we actually just ran a lot of fire calls, but actually now that we become an EMR agency, we stick around our area here and run this area through I-44 up to Porter Hill down to the Mears area.
Okay. All right. And can you explain, or I think sometimes people only see one side of the emergency services. So how has the department grown or evolved over time?
We actually grown quite a bit, even though we're still totally understaffed. We actually grown. We got a lot of mutual aid agreements with all these surrounding fire departments. Just being more professional once we're becoming more into the medical side of it. We used to just wear the wildland gear all the time, and then we started getting our station wear gear because when you go into a home and there for a medical, you want to be professional. You're there to make sure that, when they see us when we walk in, they want to feel comfortable, not just somebody off the streets. And so we have grown significantly by being able to hire 2 more firefighters, a captain. Jermaine, he's a tribal member, he's Comanche, and then also our assistant chief, Jake Stallings, which can't be with us today. He's actually in training.
I feel like I want to throw this in there too. I feel like a lot of things that people misunderstand about us is that we're not just a wildland fire department anymore. We do run medical calls, car wrecks, wildland fires, structure fires. I mean, all kinds of rescues. We do it all now, and we're not, we're making our way into training more for a lot of things like the rescue side of it. We don't train every day for like rope rescues and things like that, but that's something we try to get better at every single day because there's always medical emergencies out in like the wildlife refuge and, even like extrication and things like that. We do a lot of that stuff now. And that's something that tribal members nowadays don't understand because they still believe that we're just a wildland department, that we go out of state and things like that. We actually have technically a run area now. So we're not just a wildland department anymore.
Okay. Yeah. And with that being said, can you kind of walk us through what happens from the moment that a call does come on?
So from the moment that a call comes through, we have an app on our phone. We have radios, playing almost 24/7. From the moment it comes in, we'll get the tones for it. It'll send a description of what we're responding to, and then we'll pretty much just load up and go. Anything and everything that comes through those I am responding messages is an emergency. So we're going to run lights and sirens all the way there, and then when we get to the patient's house or wherever we're going to the patient, it's now all hands on deck kind of deal, whether, it's a slight emergency or a full-on emergency, we treat it the same. So.
Okay, and how does EMS work alongside fire responses, and, how often do those tend to overlap?
Well, majority of your calls are medical calls. like I said, in the beginning, it was nothing but fire calls, and then we actually outran and started doing way more now on our call volumes and our runs. And so that's why these guys are equipped to do what they need to do and be there, because we are the first ones on scene. And with our medical rescue, it carries all our medical equipment. Like you said, we treat every incident as it could be critical, cardiac arrest, because during the moment when you're actually going on en route, the call could change at any time. So you always just got to be prepared and ready. And with that being said, that's why we stick around in this area as our run area for that, because this is the main complex. There's a lot of tribal homes around here, and we're here for the community, just like we are here for our own elders and stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Elders are a priority for sure. And it sounds like your team has to be ready for just about anything. And so fire season, like it's happening right now. So what does this time of year look like for your department?
I'd say that it actually gets really busy during the fire season. Like I said, we do run the medical side and the rescue side in between, but most of the time around this time of area, it's really dry. The soil moisture is really low. The relative greenness is low. I mean, everything throws into a factor of how fast and how bad we could have a fire. But the majority of the time, it's pretty rough out about this season. Now, when we get more into like I'd say April area or something, it'll kind of start slowing down a little bit more, but we always stay prepared for any kind of incident. I mean, the fires they can get pretty rough right about now, though. It's probably the worst time for a fire to happen.
Yeah, with the winds and low humidity, anything can pop off. That's why we try to encourage, on our Facebook page, putting out information out there, heavy equipment, pulling heavy equipment with trucks and trailers, chains properly equipped, because that could actually start a fire. Parking in high grass. There was actually one of the guys that I know sent me a picture the other day, and they parked in high grass and their vehicle caught fire. So there's a lot of stuff that we need to actually look into and educate a lot of our tribal members out there. And it goes back to the control burns on trust land. We didn't adopt that. When the county goes into to a burn ban, they could still burn on trust. Well, we try to educate, do not do that, because, there's a possibility if that fire gets off trust land and burns onto non-trust land, and now you're 100% liable for that. Okay. So, I mean, that's why a lot of it we try to push out there and try to educate.
I do want to throw in on that aspect as well. Almost 90% of the time a wildfire is created, it's man-made created. It's not because a lightning strike or, a natural incident. The majority of the time it's going to be a man-made incident, so.
And I do want to touch on controlled burns and land management a little bit more later on. But aside from that, what are some fire prevention tips you really want our community to hear?
We actually just want to, like I said, try to encourage, we don't have the capability, because one of our goals is try to reach every single community, and the Cache area, we got a big community over there. But, don't leave anything unattended. If you're cooking outside, go inside, make sure somebody's always out there watching it. We had a run on the incident that happened. He went inside, left his grill going, whole backyard on fire. So it's small things that we try to push, and watch the wind. A lot of people don't know about the humidity. Once that drops low, that's when it's critical. It gets at 20%, anything could light up. So we try to just educate them and on stuff by social media.
And it's also like with structure fires and things like that, house fires are a big deal because that's people's livelihood, so it always depends on, how good your electrical housing, your housing and your electricity and your housing is, but it's like the deals, the light strips and things like that, the multi-plug strips and things, and unburnt, like candles you leave burning around can start fires. I mean, it's a real big safety deal with houses too as well. Always keep a fire extinguisher around. Make sure your carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors are working and have new batteries. There's a lot of ways you can prevent your house from catching on fire as well,
And a lot of people, they kind of forget about the dryers. I'm going to start my dryer and I'm going to go to the store and come back. And
I do that a lot.
And then, with a lint on there, we think about just cleaning it, the outside of it, but also the inside. So there's a lot to that. And actually, I seen some stuff on TikTok the other day you can get down in there and put it on your vacuum and suck it out. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've actually seen, when people don't cut the trees around their house and they're leaning up, squirrels have a real good advantage to get up into your attic and things like that. We've seen houses catch on fires from squirrels in their attic.
Yeah, eating on the wiring.
Eating through wires and things like that, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, things can obviously escalate quickly.
Yeah.
So how do you coordinate with surrounding departments or county dispatch during these high call periods?
We actually, like I said, we got a mutual aid agreement with them, and then we coordinate with them responding. Of course, also, we do trainings, and they come to our station, we go to their station, and now on the dispatch side, we coordinate back and forth, sometimes through our dispatch, but mainly county dispatch because they are the 911 agency, and we're not 911 agency out here. So that's why we try to encourage everybody in this vicinity right here to call 911, because there might be an incident where these guys might be on a call already. Now they're trying to call us direct, and it's response time that's where it goes back to response time, because now you're trying to call us direct when they could have called 911 and already got an ambulance en route, or one of these surrounding fire departments.
And the fire chiefs, they have their own group chat. So if there is a really high fire danger, these guys all stay in contact with each other. We let each other know about mutual aids, if we can or can't go out of the county. It's all communicated through the fire departments, through group chats and phone calls. And, dispatch also keeps a really good hand on that stuff as well. So.
Okay. Yeah. And I think prevention is just as important as the response. And so are there any outreach efforts or trainings or resources available to our tribal members to kind of learn a little bit more about the prevention side?
We're actually trying to get more into that on the prevention side of educating. And like I said, it all boils back down to the staffing is what we're running into right now. Because, once we pull out of here and we're doing the educational part, if something happens here, there's nobody here. So that kind of falls back on us. So we don't try to leave the area and do too much. Right now, all we can do is on Facebook, and really appreciate being on here, being able to speak and try to educate while somebody watches this and might get some key points out of it.
Okay. Yeah. And I feel like social media is a huge thing right now. So keep doing what you're doing on there. And I think that'll get out to our people. And
we went from like 10 or 20 followers to like almost 800. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that? Is it just because you were constantly posting more or putting up more things, or
constantly posting? But a lot of it, they see us everywhere. We're all over. We got donations. Elgin Realty donated the big Blackstone grill for us, because now we're working, got shifts worked, that we're working shifts for the guys to be able to cook on. Tribal member came in and donated beds for us to be able to sleep on, because before we was just sleeping on FEMA cots.
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
And so
we made it a long way.
Yeah, so we came a long ways of where we was at before.
Well, that's good to hear, because y'all definitely deserve that.
I'd say a really good, I wouldn't say really outreach thing, but make sure your fire extinguishers work. After you let them sit for so long, all that chemical sets down at the bottom, and it won't function right. So a good little tip is to take like a mallet or something, take that fire extinguisher off your wall and kind of hit it around the edges, because all that stuff, after you let it sit for 5 years, nobody at their house is really checking their fire extinguishers, but take a mallet, beat around the edges of it, and now you have a fully functioning
Yeah, because
fire
it hardens
extinguisher.
up after a while.
It
so.
does, and you'll, if you ever need it, you'll pull that clip, and then you'll go to spraying it. You'll get a little puff of it out, and then the rest of it won't work. So,
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
yeah.
Well, that's definitely good to know. Are there any other basic safety steps that, every household should have in place apart from that?
I'd say, like I said, keep your fire extinguishers. Your fire extinguishers, your CO2 and carbon monoxide deals, your fire alarms. Keep all those. If you do have an active house fire and you are in that house, close all your doors. If you're in a bedroom, close that door to your bedroom. And the less oxygen you get to a fire, the better. You don't want that fire getting oxygen because it actually provokes it.
Yeah, that's why they tell you to, when you go to sleep at night, make sure your doors are closed for that simple reason. That way the fire don't spread.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, clutter in a house is a big deal too. A lot of things, pushing up against outlets, outlet covers, when you have a lot of things around, say, an extension cord, you really never know what can happen when it comes to extension cords and power strips and things like that. Keep clutter away from everything. Clutter is a big deal, especially for when we do go in a house. It's easier for us to maneuver around a house that has less clutter.
Yeah.
Just things like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And always have an emergency plan. Get with your
Always.
family. Always make a plan of what how to get out of the house and go over and educate your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's a huge one.
Because right now, social media, you could look up anything and everything, and it'll help you walk you through everything and tips. So really encourage that.
Yeah. Also, people always need to check their batteries and their smoke detectors. I hear a lot of people don't really pay attention to that. People should always at least change them twice a year on every time change of the years to keep them up to date, and then at least to keep them out of their bathrooms, because the steam from the showers or even at the top of the kitchen. I know kitchens are the most viable place to have a fire, but the steam from the cooking or the steam from the shower will set them off more than what they need to be. So just certain places in the house can also help prevent fires, because smoke detectors are very, very important when it comes to your house catching on fire.
And if you don't have a fire extinguisher that uses batteries, and they're wired into, your house's electrical system, and you have like a fire alarm company, always, I know it sucks to say it, but spend the money to make sure that deal is working for sure. Get it inspected.
We're actually looking into a grant to being able to install smoke alarms and stuff for tribal members and go back that route, because there is a lot of homes that they just take them down, it's dirt's beeping or I'm cooking, and they never replace it, and it's going to be that one time when you wish you would have replaced it and it's too late.
Also, just knowing how to take care of small incidents, such as a little grease, like a very small flame on a grease fire when you're cooking on a stove. A lot of people just get freaked out and pour water on it, and then their whole kitchen is gone. Just taking the time out of your day just to touch up on what to do, how to do it, to not ruin your whole house on a small incident.
So what do you do instead of doing water?
Cover it. You can if you can, possibly take it outside.
Okay.
Also, and if you can't do that, don't put water on it, obviously. But this kind of sounds like the same thing, but like a wet rag, depending on how big it is, but a wet rag can do that.
Okay.
It would put it out. A fire blanket would be, if you have one in your house, you could cover that, because without oxygen, it won't burn.
If you're, say you're cooking something up and you get a grease fire that starts inside your little cast iron pan or whatever, just put the lid over it, take the oxygen away from it. It's a really good rule of thumb, is just take the oxygen away from it, because fire cannot burn without oxygen.
Okay. That's good to know too. So I'll keep the lid around. Okay, so now I want to pivot back and go to the controlled burns and land management. So controlled burns are something that people hear about but may not fully understand. So can you explain how controlled burns are handled and why they're important?
It goes back to planning. because anybody could light a field on fire and go with it. But it goes back to planning, the right temperature, the right humidity, the wind, and also get involved with your local fire department, volunteer fire department. Sometimes they'll be able to bring a truck out and be fire watch. Your fire breaks, make sure you have correct fire breaks. There's a lot to it. We used to normally do them, and like I said, it goes back to not being able to get out of our area, and so we kind of slowed down on them. But a lot of it is just the safety and the planning part of doing a control burn, because it can get out of hand real quick.
It comes like as well as with weather. Always pay attention to your weather if you're doing a control burn. Like right now, our fire danger is okay today. It's not super bad, but I still wouldn't advise burning. Obviously, we can't right now because we're under a burn ban, but, pay attention to your weather. Your wind speeds is a huge deal. Your relative humidity is a huge deal. And always, always, always notify your dispatch, because, you get a fire. Some people don't want the fire department showing up to their house when they're burning, and, we've had people get mad at us because we show up and they'd never call it in. We're like, that's kind of something, that you should have done, is called the dispatch, let them know, because they'll go over the radio and they'll notify all the fire departments or in that area. They'll notify them that there is a control burn in that area.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know. That was my next question, is kind of how someone should plan for when it comes to burning.
Yeah.
So
Also, looking at your area of where you're going to be burning at, knowing how to burn, for obviously, but don't burn next to tall grass in a field or something like that, where it can actually take off, and just use all of that fuel in the field and burn all of it up. Just like even something as small as get your garden hose and just wet around it a good 5 feet, so it can't spread as easy.
So anytime you put fire on the ground, that is now your responsibility. So if you're a homeowner, fire department, whatever, as soon as you put fire on the ground, everything that you burn or is going to burn is now your responsibility fully. So say somebody's house burns down because of your mistakes, that is now you and your fire department's problem. So.
all right. And I always think it's important to recognize the people behind the uniforms. We have all these prevention tips and things that y'all are currently doing right now. So what's one of the biggest challenges your team faces during fire season?
I'd say it just depends on, the fire, how bad the fire season is. There's, we work shifts, but after hours, I'm on call 24/7. So if there's a major fire in Mears area, or like back in 2024 in October, the Rush Fire, we put many hours in out there, help and assist with multiple fire departments. And so I think with the staff that we have, it kind of could put a toll on us. And because you're going to have sleep, because like out there in the Rush Fire, I remember being out there, I was tired, wore out, and but still had to keep going. But eventually that'll change. I mean, these guys, like I said, they do this work day in, day out. This is something we love to do. This is something that needed to be done. The shifts, we worked 8 to 5, and before, and was trying to push being here, because after the tribe closes, we still got people here. We still got kids over here. We still got shelters, and so that is one of the main things we pushed, and to be here. And with fire season, we had the fire right over here, right next to our station. Well, right behind these shelters, there's a lot of growth over there. It's just when that field's going to catch fire. So
It as well as staffing, per shift we only have 2 people. We have a mixed shift where we'll have 3 for a day or so maybe, but fires are hard when you only have two people, I mean, we have a lot of other responders around here that volunteer their time, but they can't always show up. We're the guys that we get paid to do this stuff. We have to show up. This is our kind of our duty, our due diligence, is kind of that deal. But when it comes down to vehicle maintenance as well, like we want our vehicles running good. We want those air filters cleaned. We want those tires to be in shape. We want, our pumps to be running, but like that's just the grass fire side. If we get a structure fire, we only got two people. You can't really have two people go into a house fire by themselves. The only ones on scene, you can't have those people going in because there's nobody outside to replace you. There's nobody outside to keep track of you. There's nobody outside to run your pump on your engine. There's just a lot of factors that run down into the personnel side, but something to think about is our personnel.
And then also it goes back down to our water source out here too. So if, our main complex, if it ever caught fire, we'd have to call in a lot of tankers because we don't have enough pressure that's coming out of these water hydrants out here. And so that, that goes back to that. Even into the little neighborhood across from it is the same way. And until we can get a water tower and enough pressure, and which I understand we didn't think we was going to grow like this, and it grew. So all out here, they even got new homes out here that actually don't have water pressure the same, like off of 4 Mile, those new homes down that way. But yeah, that's kind of the stuff that we face right now is the recruitment intention and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. And with all of this being said, and if you could kind of think about a specific shift, what does that typical shift look like when conditions are high?
Well, when it's high, I normally could be on hand. I normally hang around just in case, because like I said, in a brush truck you at least need 2 people. In the engine you need at least 4. Mm-hmm. And so. If my assistant's off, he'll come in, and we try to not to leave. We actually watch the weather. We already know when even when it starts raining, we already know, hey, get the engine ready. I'll be ready because there's wrecks right over here on I-44. That's the same way with the fires. If we're gonna if it's bad, we get that text, and they're asking, how many trucks, how many men. We kind of know how to staff each other.
Yeah, and we're always on call most of the time. We have our special days where we're out of service, but most of the time we have like Jermaine and Kyle and Jake are all here to step in if we really need them. So we at least have that advantage that we have other guys that are willing to come in their spare time and be that extra hand. So.
Okay. And, before we wrap this up, is there a final message you would like to share with our community right now, especially during this fire season?
It's on me. If you see an emergency, call 911. So that's I think that's what I say.
Simple as that.
Yeah, if you have an emergency, call 911, not the Kona dispatch. So.
Yeah, I just, go off of that. If you see any smoke of any type, don't hesitate. Just call 911. Report it. That way they can get somebody en route. Because fire could spread real rapidly, fast, and a small fire can turn into 80 acres. We've seen what's going, taking place in the Panhandle. And, around here, we got a lot of flat land and stuff, and that it can actually move pretty quick. Out here in the mountains, once it gets in the mountains, like I said back in October in 2024, with the rush fire, we've seen what that can do. So just call 911 if the moment you see smoke. It doesn't matter if it's a small ditch fire, because that small ditch fire could turn into something big.
Oh yeah, it's better safe than sorry for sure. You can never go wrong. That's what we got people for is is people that answer the phones 24/7, people that respond 24/7. It's always better safe than sorry. So.
And touch one more thing, and that's why really want to let tribal members know, if your county is in a burn ban, watch it. I know you want to burn, because it's on trust land, and it's not not that burn ban don't necessarily do anything with our jurisdiction, but still respect it, because respect your neighbors, because once that fire gets out of hand, or the fire that actually burned by our station, it happened a week before then, and they thought it was out. Wind came in and it relit the fire, and it burnt that whole field. So make sure the fire's out, or if you're in a burn ban, don't burn, because if you're going to be 100% liable, if some injuries or property gets damaged, hay bales, whatever it is, you're going to be liable for that.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and having this conversation, because we do really rely on our emergency services, and we don't always take the time to understand, and get a little bit of preparation and the dedication behind it. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, listeners, we're going to take a short break and hear from our PIO director, Jolene Sconchen, about all the upcoming events for the Comanche Nation. We'll be right back.
Hamarat Weka Namana, Nese Jolene Sconchen, and I am the director of the Comanche Nation Public Information Office. Please take note of the following events happening in Comanche country. The Comanche Nation Prevention and Recovery presents Community Recovery Resource Fair, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., February 26th at the Great Plains Coliseum in Lawton, Oklahoma. It will be a one-stop shop for recovery support. The Comanche Tribal Court's legal aid clinics will take place 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on March 4th and March 11th at the courthouse. Contact the Tribal Courthouse for more information. The Comanche Nation Prevention and Recovery presents Nourish and Restore, a shared meal for wellness and recovery, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. March 5th and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. March 6th at the Vista Building, 200 Southwest C Avenue in Lawton. The Comanche Little Ponies will have a bingo and Indian taco sale beginning at noon on March 7th at the St. Andrews Community Church, 2727 Southwest 19th Street in Oklahoma City. All money raised will go to their annual powwow on May 9th in Lawton, Oklahoma. The First American Museum will have a Tech Fest of Indigenous Knowledge in Action, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. March 7th at Oklahoma City. Please note that the contact information that the programs I mentioned are available at the Comanche Nation website, www.comanchenation.com. Also, look at the Comanche Nation News of Oklahoma's Facebook page for additional information about the events and activities. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Reporter for the Comanche Nation PIO News, Nese Jolene Sconchen. Ura.
All right, listeners, we're back, and now we are with the Grasshopper Program. So thank you so much for coming on. I know it's a huge thing right now because your season's about to hit its peak season, and I think people need to hear about what the Grasshopper Program is. So at first, if y'all want to kind of introduce yourself and let our listeners know who you are.
I'm Shannon Mowa. I'm the administrative supervisor.
I'm Joseph McCarthy. I'm a lead tech.
My name is Marshall Nido. I'm the director of the Grasshopper Program.
All right, perfect. All right, so for anyone listening who may not be familiar, can you tell us what the Grasshopper Program is and kind of share the heart behind the program?
I don't know the exact year that I started with the program, but it was under the direction of the late Keith Yacchione. And then he had passed it on to Georgia Gibson, which it was still within the WIA program then. And then after that, then it got transferred over to WIOA, which Justin Booz was over WIOA at that time. And then we started out with just one-man crews covering all areas, and we only had just the riding lawnmowers with the steering wheels and the curved shaft weed eaters, which there wasn't in commercial. But I've been with the program for a good, I'll say anywhere from 14 to 17 years. And I started from the bottom and worked my way up to the director. And I had a vision of, doing more than just actually cutting and weed eating. We go on during the winter months and we do tree work, like prune the trees up and get ready for the next season. Or if the member has like washing machines or old dryers or stuff like that that's just sitting in their backyards, we'll haul it off for them. And we usually reciprocate that with EPA because that EPA usually recycles them on a regular basis. And we'll ask Miss Cooper over there if she would like the stuff, and she'll say, yeah, sure, or no. And then if not, then we just take it to the city dump. So other than that, we do a lot.
It's basically like a yard cleanup. Like when we get to the client's house, basically is tree trimming all the way along the fence lines where you can actually see your fences now, and anything over the house getting trimmed up. We don't mess with power line stuff. Some trees come down, but basically like a yard cleanup. A lot of elders always happy after they get their yard cleaned.
Oh, yeah. I always see it on Facebook. They always make their post about you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So services. Most people hear Grasshopper Program and automatically think lawn mowing. So let's kind of break it down, and what exactly does all of the services include?
Well, when we come out, we do they're up to 1.5 acres, and we do all the grass cutting, the weed eating, like around the house. We'll edge up if it's like in town, the driveways and sidewalks. And like we were saying during the winter months, if we see a dead tree and we think that the branch is going to fall onto the house, then we'll try to cut that off too to avoid any damages. Sometimes the Elder Center calls on us, and we go over there and help them deliver food to the same clients that we have on our program, so it makes it easier. We help emergency management, if they call on us to go out and like clear ice off of handicap ramps, put ice melt down, and then there's trees that get damaged with ice and they break off and they block the driveways, or if it's like affecting the elder or any tribal members, during the winter months. But they'd have to call the emergency management hotline, and then emergency management will dispatch us out.
Okay.
Basically, like wherever we're needed, and here at the Comanche tribe, we're like basically there.
Yeah, any program that needs help by us. Like moving the offices, that big move that they just had, we helped with that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
We help maintenance out. We help almost every program whenever, if they're shorthanded or anything like that.
Okay. And, you kind of mentioned services not only in the summer season, but kind of the winter season as well. But when spring and summer hit, I'm sure it gets going. So how do you all manage scheduling and keeping everything running smoothly during the peak season?
Well, what we do is we try to move as a group from town to town, and it's more effective that way. Because I used to split them up and have their own areas, their own routes. But then it was showing that we were slowing up and getting behind. So then Mr. McCarthy brought it to my attention. He said, well, if we travel together, we can knock a town out like Anadarko. We can take about a day and a half and have all Anadarko done. And our services, we used to try to do it every 2 weeks, but weather hitting us and all that, so we had to change it to twice a month. As long as we're in there within that 30 days, we're in compliance. And sometimes the weather is a factor, or, just downtime. If a machine breaks down on us and we have to get it repaired or whatever, then, that puts us back, because one day puts us 2 days behind, because we have to do the day of and then the next day of service of that's coming up.
Okay, I see that. And I think one of the biggest questions, after you kind of explain the services, is how do I qualify? So who is eligible for the services through this program?
Ms. Shannon, you want to take that one?
So it'd be any tribal elder over 62 or a tribal member that is 100% disabled.
Okay, all right, simple enough. And, I think there are certain counties that the program serves, right? So can you kind of explain the service area and why those boundaries are in place?
What is it, 5 counties and 22
cities?
Yes. And that was set by, I guess, the tribe that like the service counties where we can serve. And, it goes from like Anadarko, Cement, Sterling, Fletcher, Surreal,
Binger,
Apache,
Granville.
Yeah, Binger,
Chattanooga.
Granville, Chattanooga, Frederick,
Temple.
Wow.
Temple, Walters, Geronimo. Lawton is our biggest route. Lawton has how much was it the last time we added?
100
something.
60. I thought it was about 140, something like that.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
east and west.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
All right, and I think that there are some common misunderstandings when they hear about eligibility. So, is apart from that, like how would they go about applying for these services?
So they could apply on our website, on the Comanche Nation website. There's a link that's a Grasshopper Program. They could click on there and they could do it electronically on there. They could come out here to our office, or if an elder is unable to, they could call into our office and we're able to go to their house and just bring the paperwork and have them do it that way.
Oh, nice. Okay. And you said the application is on the webpage. Are they also able to see kind of those exact servicing counties on the webpage?
It has the overall counties on there, but it don't have the specific towns.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it does have the counties.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So if someone's listening right now and wants to get in this on this lawn mowing list, how do they start?
They can either go on, they can Google it, Comanche Nation Grasshopper Program, and it automatically comes up, and both applications for renewal and new services is on there.
Okay.
And then they can upload the documents on there. You know, there's a place for that for proof of residence, CDIB, and then if they're 100% disabled, they can upload that too on there. And then if they're not like computer savvy, like some of our elders, because they don't know about computers, they can call into the office and then we can do it over the phone.
Does that tend to be like a common
Yes,
thing that happens that
yes.
slows the process down?
Yes, and then if they can't send pictures like over the phone, because sometimes you can send your documents to like our work cell phones, and we can print it off and make a file for them.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Because we have hard copies and soft copies of all of our elders and people that's disabled.
Okay, perfect. And once everything is turned in, what should families expect in terms of like timeline and scheduling?
It usually takes about a day or two in order for us to get them scheduled in. It just depends where the crews are at that time. And then if you're not home, sometimes we'll go ahead and do the service. But if they have animals out, then we'll leave a door knocker on their door and let them know that we was there. And then we'd have to put them back into rotation. And sometimes I'm trying to make it to where we're having makeup days, but before we leave out of that town. You know, like towards the end after we get everybody serviced, and then if they call in and say, well, I missed you guys, my dog was out, and then they call us and then we'll try to set up another date for us to come back out.
So if their dog is out, obviously you can't come and do that. Is there anything else that would slow down that process that they have to follow?
Yeah, some of them like have locks on their gates and
Locks
stuff
on the
like
gate.
that, yeah.
Okay.
But all the clients really do get service, whether you're home or not. But if you have a dog running loose and it won't let us out the truck, that's the only time we can't service the yard.
Okay. Okay. So that's definitely something that they should keep in mind.
Some of the elders will give us the codes to the lock that's on
Oh,
the
really?
gates.
Oh,
yeah.
that's good. Okay.
Yes. Because we help them with the elders council with their community garden also.
Okay.
We'll go down there and control the grass, weed eat for them, pick up trash out there whenever they need us to. So, and I mean, we do some of the businesses in Lawton also. It just depends if maintenance needs our help, and then Mr. Toho will call me, and then I'll set it up for us to go over there and take care of it. Because there's a lot of businesses.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
And also, you mentioned the renewal. How often do they have to renew their application?
Every 3 years.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
that's not bad at all. Every 3 years. Okay.
Yes.
And I know sometimes elders can't get on there and do this.
Yeah.
They also have their children and grandchildren to help them. So can a family member apply on their behalf, or does it need to be them directly?
Well, yeah, they could do it, but the elder would have to make sure that they endorse the application.
Okay. Perfect. All right. And you kind of mentioned, impact in community and all of this community work that you guys do apart from, servicing our elders. And so I kind of want to hear from your perspective how this program truly impacts our elders' day-to-day lives.
Oh, whenever we go out and we do the service and everything, they come out and they love just having conversations with us and telling us their ideas, like on their trees and bushes and stuff. And I mean, we just wanted a conversation. Yeah. And we do that. We talk with them and, see what their concerns are or what could make us better too. Better off serving them, because I know from all the years I've been with this program, I know some of my elders cannot get out there and do this work because it's too hot, or it could be like insects or snakes or stuff like that,
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the times people don't understand how important elders are to our tribe, to Comanches, and I feel like people, we put them on a pedestal, and so
Yes.
I appreciate this program 100%. So,
Yes.
are there any stories or feedback that's really stuck with you after all these years of working with this program?
There was an elder that I had encountered. This was like whenever I first started way back when. That's what made me interested. It was the late Miss Anna Tomakara. She lived out on Post Oak Road in Indiana. And whenever I went out there, her grass was like, you couldn't even see me in there. That's how tall it was. And then whenever I got through, it took me like 2 days to cut all this grass down and weed eat everything. And whenever I got done, she came out and she was crying and she told me, she's like, the Creator sent me an angel. You are such an angel. And it just like put a frog in my throat. And I was like, and that's what made me feel like, hey, this is what I want to do. And then after that, the compliments started coming from all the elders, congratulating us and, thanking us for the service that we do because they can't do it. And, there's just everything. If they need something, we'll go above and beyond, even if it don't have to do with our program, just to make them smile. That's all it's about. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. That's how I
Right.
see it.
Yep.
So.
Is there anything that comes to your mind when you think about that?
Well, really, I'm just happy to be able to be of service to the elders, to go and help them on the things that they can't do no more. Like, mowing season, weeding, mowing, maybe. And then wintertime when they come, you got those trees over the house. They need all their house all trimmed up. And there's that one on Square Top, I can't think of her name, but when we go service her yard, she likes to come outside, Lulu lights.
That's Miss Marilyn Tiger
No, the one down the road.
down the road.
When we cut them trees,
Oh, that one that's got all. I can't think of
his
their name.
But
Oh, man.
him and her will be out there luluing and go Grasshoppers and a bunch of things.
There's 430 clients on our program.
a lot of
so-
them come out. A lot of them come
Yes.
out be like just applauding and cheering while we're doing the work for them. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Oh, but that almost makes me try to cry.
I got all the names in here,
Yeah,
but
I
right
can't
now
think
it's
of
just
his
like
name
I
right
can't
now.
come. I can't
Yeah.
get with the name. Would you know what it was?
I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
You'll have to let me know later when you think of that.
Yeah.
And, some of our elders aren't, vocal like that. And sometimes people hesitate to ask for help. So what would you say to an elder who might feel unsure about applying?
Well, we're all a bunch of good people, and we believe in, because we have elders too in our family, and that's who taught us. They taught us, always respect your elders. Don't talk down on them. And just pick them up. And if it wasn't, just like I said, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. And so it's, they did for us while we were little. Now it's our turn to do for them.
Mm-hmm. And I want to hear more behind the scenes. Like, how big is your team?
It's not
No,
big
really?
as we would like it, but we're managing. We adjust to bring the services.
Okay.
Because right now we have, what is it? Five? Is it 5 leads?
5 leads, but we're able to take care of everything that's on our list that
Yeah.
comes our way. We're able to.
And I also get out and cut grass too, and I'm the director.
Yeah,
so
he does.
I wouldn't have them do something I wouldn't get out there and do. Mm-hmm. And just lead by example. That's how, that's how I see it. And I love seeing my elders smile. So,
But with 5 crews that we do have, sometimes there's 38 to 40 houses in a town, and we're able to knock that out in one day.
Oh, wow.
and we get our assistant techs with the help of WIOA.
Okay.
We bring them through there, and then if I have a position open, that's how I make a decision to bring them on full time.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for WIOA, I don't know how we would get this done. So
Yeah.
And, aside from that, are there any other big challenges that y'all kind of face?
Well, just mainly, keeping the upkeep of our equipment, and the weather, really the weather. Because sometimes it just rains and then it could be still wet outside with blue skies, birds singing and everything, but it's too wet. And then we go out and we put them heavy machine on their yards.
You put ruts in the yards.
Put ruts in the yards, and then whenever it dries up and you go back through, you're sitting there, boom, 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 you're bouncing.
Yeah.
And it's really rough on your back. So.
But there's some elders who don't care. They just want the yard cut, no matter if it rains or not. And
they're cutting
that's the
grass
bad
down
part
on
about
Rogers
it.
Lane. Why can't y'all be out cutting? I'm like, your yard is too soft, you know. Just try to explain it to them.
Especially some of these country houses, you know,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
the
bet.
rain just soaks in the ground, and
Yep.
the ground is really soft.
Because there's not that much traffic on it, and the dirt's real soft, and it gets
And we
a
get
mess.
stuck with the
We
mowers,
get
and then we got to
stuck.
pull each other out, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And what's a typical day look like for you guys during peak season, like from start to finish?
The numbers, I can give you a number on how many services that we
Yeah.
perform. With everybody traveling together, now we can get anywhere from 24 to 20, maybe 30 a day. Yeah, and that's full services. So,
What, yards?
yeah.
No, we got 5 crews. Everybody gets 10 houses apiece.
Yeah, so it can be up to 50.
It can be pretty much 40 to 45, 50 yards a day. That's what we accomplish.
That's the standard, about 10 per crew.
Okay. And earlier we had the fire program on. Do y'all work with them? You know, now that it's fire season, is there any type of, you know, coordination with them when it comes to, you know, keeping the grass cut and things? Because they kind of mentioned that as a prevention.
Yes. Sometimes, like, if they get a call or whatever and they'll have to go, like, cut a dead tree up or something because it fell, we'll assist them if they'll call. Sometimes they'll call us and we'll go pick up what
We'll
they
go
cut.
do the cleanup.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
then we use the wood to give back to the elders that heat their
in the
houses with
wintertime.
wood.
Really?
Yes.
People request that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Because there's some elders or some clients that rely on their only source is fireplace or a stove. So we would give them like a rick of wood.
Yes, and then they'll call us whenever they're running low, and we'll take them some more out.
Y'all literally do it all.
Yes,
Like
we
that
do.
is so, that is so great to hear. Apart from everything else that we talked about, is there anything that you'd like to add about the Grasshopper program?
Well, our season's coming up. We're going to have a safety meeting. When did I say that was on?
31st.
The 31st. We'll get our first set of our WIA participants for our assistant techs, and they'll come in, and then we'll have that safety meeting the next day. Then I'll do a hands-on training with them to show them, you know, what to look for, the services of, you know, just little field services that you do on the equipment, like the weed eaters, the blowers, or, you know, something like that. And if it's something that they can't do, then they'll bring it into the shop, and then I'll get it fixed. So after that, then we'll start our cutting season. We'll probably, what was the date I was talking about the first week of April, about the second week of April, because right now at the point the grass is in dormant, it's sleep. So, but once that rain starts hitting, it's gonna wake up.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I would suggest that if the elders could just keep their phone numbers updated.
Yes.
Yes.
Our leads do call. They try to call everybody before they come out just to see what's needed, if their gates are unlocked, if their animals are put up. So if they could just remind to keep their phones updated with us.
Okay. Yeah. That's an easy enough
Yeah,
reminder.
because I remember I talked with one elder and they said, I'm not going to have this phone too long. I'm getting all these scam calls, and
Oh, no.
that makes them change their phone number, and then we're all off balance on our routes because we keep track of every client that we have on a spreadsheet, on Excel spreadsheet. We got their address, phone numbers, and all that. And if they change the phone number, we were just asking if they could please call us and update us. Just with a phone number. They won't have to fill no paperwork out or nothing. We'll just change it right there on the phone.
Okay, good to know. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking about this, because I think it's better for our elders to kind of hear and kind of break down exactly how this service works and kind of understand the process. So I do think our programs truly make a difference. So thank you so much for coming on today.
And if there's anything else that the elders would like us to do, just give us a call and we'll look at it, no matter what it is.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. And listeners, we'll catch you on the next one.